kind of be volatile.
Oh man, this is. As I take a look at this, I always get. You're up, you're down, you're up, you're down. Okay, let's take a look. All right, so let's get started here. We'll do this real quick. We got the SPY sitting right near that top, but notice again, like we like constantly point out, it reacquired the uptrend. So right, had a day where it fought with this guy. Now it couldn't get above this one. Now she's back above the green uptrend ray. So that's typically really bullish. Now, especially when you're going to new highs, right? When you're reacquiring a steeper angle of attack to the upside. Also works to the downside too, but the all-time highs, the bullishness is just every day. Again, you know what? A lot of things that people overlook because it's easy. It's terrible that all I could say to you is why things are going higher, and everybody can have really like legitimate like economics and technicals and just fundamentals of individual tickers and just potential black swan events, this, that, all these, geopolitical issues and everything and inflation. But guess what? Like, we printed out a monster amount of cash during COVID. Right? Didn't we double the amount of cash in circulation? So that money's not going to really want to sit in a bank account. Although, with rates and everything, yeah, might be an argument to be a little bit in cash more than you usually are. But dividends work. And, things... when dividend stocks are at multi-year lows and yields are above 5, it's pretty hard to convince me to stay cash. And even if you were, I mean, money can't just sit, all of it can't sit in a bank account. You got to invest it in something. And with everything else being very expensive, equity's always good. Now, of course, there's commodities, which we're seeing the commodity market. Everything, essentially what happens is everything kind of levels up, right? So as one thing becomes a better, opportunity, that's where the money kind of goes. Maybe there's a cooling off of something else, so there's just a constant, again, it's just like this tide. There's more cash, so everything needs to just kind of level up. Now, one could say we're kind of low, things are, consider, household incomes and inflation and this and that we're worse off, but there's still more cash. It needs to be out there. It needs to be put someplace. And what's interesting is we can get into like a deep discussion about equities and where you guys should be looking at. Now, I cover healthcare, right? And I have a love for healthcare. Despite really hating the system and how it's, especially in the United States, and how it's such an industry, and just the whole mess that's been created. How they've embedded and been almost, you can't even extract any piece of it right now because it's the whole system would kind of fall apart if you got rid of one thing or another. But beyond healthcare, you go to tech, and it's not like 20, 30 years ago where the new boom, like we'll take the dot-com bubble, right? Now the dot-com bubble happened over what, a couple years, really? I mean, the idea of it really hitting ridiculous acceleration, everything that was a dot-com was being bid up every single day, and then everybody realized half of them are just fake and or had no business model or whatever. And then there was the bubble, right? But there was some technical and there's some fundamental things going on there, as people realized most of the things they were just chasing was just garbage, right? And there was the financial crisis. But all throughout those times, like, there was innovation occurring. Like, great things did come from the dot-com, right? We have technology became so important, right? And now it seems like instead of like something new, some new innovation coming along in terms of like the dot-coms, or just, like, let's take Bitcoin. Bitcoin would be another great example of a new thing coming on. Now, what happened was there was just a uncontrolled Wild West with the different amounts of coins, and a lot of that, I don't want to say a lot, but a decent amount of that has cooled down, to a certain extent, and now legitimate cryptocurrencies exist. Blockchain is a legitimate thing. So there's been some great, what's another thing that's been, during COVID we had all the Zooms and different telecommunications, new eras of that, new products coming out with that. What else we got? Softwares for the variety of, the countless softwares now for video and photo editing and all that stuff, from social media. It's just all these things have been just accelerants. And although at the moment, I'm missing probably like a dozen things in there if we think about it. Social media, the apps, social media apps, but then just like, the bigger guys, like the first, you the MySpaces and the Facebooks. That was probably, so it was like dot-coms, media, social media. That's been all these things have been there were so many of them, and they cut down, and now they grow again. There's the Bitcoin, expanded, exploded, came back down, refined itself. But in general, they haven't gone away. They've only become more and more useful things. They become, more of a legitimate industry. And my point to that is, all those things are still growing. All those things are still becoming more and more powerful, despite them being quote-unquote bubbles. Like, it wasn't really a bubble. I don't know what you would say, but it was... Yeah, in terms of the stocks, some of them were, but in the way it impacted the overall market. But those things that were, seen as, oh, yeah, it's just a fad. Every single time you want to hear about Wall Street calling something that's new technology like a fad, and it's just, transient thing, and it's just hype. And then when it's there for long enough and it survives and then all of a sudden they get in on it, right? And then it becomes a legitimate industry. When once a winner, a few winners are, crowned, the rest of them get, culled. And then once they've got control of it, they'll start using private, equity, and there'll be some smaller startups that have now going to benefit from the trailblazers, right? It's just interesting that the amount of technology, amount of crazy things that are changing our world on a like the AI, like that right now was and still is a little bit of a fad. Anything that's AI, it's hot, right? Because it's where people are seeing how quickly you can do things with it. Now, what is AI? It's a loose term, really, right? Because is it really learning? But that's another thing that's going to have at least a handful of winners, and there's going to be a whole bunch of posers that and then those are the guys who are going to be kind of the scapegoat. Oh, look at the bubble. There's all these, it's going to be all these smaller tech companies that are going to come up with their own AI situation, and it's going to cause the market to surge higher, right? Because everybody's just going to try to find a winner. Then there's only a handful of winners. There's the losers, and then people kind of turn against the industry and anything that's benefited from it. But ultimately, there will be winners that stick around, and then more legitimate backed companies and private equity will come from out of nowhere to be contenders. That's second wave, right? And that will that will develop the business and the market and the industry, and it'll continue forward. And that's what we're kind of like. Think about when we're looking at the tech. Like it's not just like the software, the companies, but then there's just all the hardware companies that benefit from this. I constantly trade semiconductors and invest in semiconductors. It's the best way to do it, because you know what? Everything's just gonna have a chip in it. And there's more things that we don't even know about that are gonna need chips in it soon. So, that was just a long rant about, but it's just keep in mind, like, why would the market really want to fall over? Like, we're now in this, like, there's going to be another technological innovation that's going to push the Qs higher, which is going to push the SPY, and then there's going to be an infrastructure and all the other things that keep that new thing moving and going. It's going to push the Dow higher. Like, like, things might be bad for individuals, but for businesses, it's great. Like, people might be miserable, people might be losing their houses and jobs and all that stuff, but money's still going into businesses. It's just reality. New things will be, new innovations, all that stuff. Anyway, let's get into at least talking about what we're looking at today. That's kind of my big thought process about the market, and how I just, like, people can tell me all this doom and gloom about what's going to happen. And it's like, well, if it's going to be, like, to me, doom and gloom, market falling over is just, for me, like, an opportunity, right? Because we're going to be, we're never, like, all in on, everything, right? So we're always looking for the next opportunity. If the market wants to bring Pfizer even lower, go right ahead. Do it. You know why? Because I'm not in a rush. The world without Johnson & Johnson and Pfizer and 3M and all these other guys that have been beaten down is not good. There are no replacements for Pfizer, people. There are no replacements for Johnson & Johnson. There's CVS is the leader there. If they want to keep punishing CVS, what does the world look like without CVS? There'd have to be a major change in regulatory. Like, you'd have to get rid of everything about monopolies. Because there'd have to be something like Walmart or Amazon that has monopolized everything for CVS and some of these other companies not to exist. Anyway. Minute before the market opens, I haven't done anything for you guys. I'm sorry. Nothing. I really don't have it. I mean, I'm looking at Novartis here. Or Nova, I say Novartis. Novo Nordisk here. I got nothing. It's just accelerations. It's just technical acceleration. She just got above this and now she's ripping. That's a good spot. If you're looking to get some OGN, this is a good spot right here. Save that one. Anything else, guys? Not really. I hate this was probably a useless live besides my rant about how the market's probably not going to fall apart. I'll put some tickers in the chat. I promise that I will get to some more updates today. I just honestly I need to pick one project and punch it through, and then hopefully that can give me enough to get to the next. I've been just kind of spreading it out to variety of different things and haven't gotten anything complete. I gotta get to trading. If you guys have any tickers or anything else you want me to look at, put in the chat. I will try to get before the end of this week. I'll try. What are we waiting for? We're starting off a little red. I'll wait. Of course, as usual. Yeah, just wait. See if there's gonna be a bottoming out here, and then maybe around 10:30, see if there's something. I mean, she could rip right here, but obviously you'd have to. If you want to pick on anything, you'd have to wait for. I mean, so 440 there. Really, I guess it won't be really truly bullish until she gets it around above 443 in terms of the Qs. So you're looking for the bounce to be right here. The 8 o'clock reset, usually you get the parameters of the day. So you got to just go back and look. This is kind of what they want to stick in, right? So this is essentially just everything here on a larger time frame is just inside candle, right? So you're just waiting for to basically break this area and then below this. I mean, you can take, I mean, I guess preemptively get in on something, but just wait. I mean, this looks bearish, right? But then we're seeing these longer shadows here. That angle attack is definitely to the downside. That's steep enough that I'll probably break it. But notice how where she stopped right here, right? Right on this candle. So even if she does break that, she might get the bounce here at 440. Yeah. 440 and a quarter. Pop, 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 pop. Yeah, now this has become resistance. Inside, inside, inside. Now to the upside, what you wait for, yep, we got this. Now you look for it to break above, right? And then she's going to have probably a little bit of trouble right here for a second. Volume is low. Oh, everybody got out of the way, though. It's the 200-day EMA, comes right back down. Yeah, so you just gotta wait. But that's engulfing, so you're gonna look for. Probably you want to keep it above 441 and a quarter, right? If it stays here for a minute, just kind of hanging out. Volume, I mean, that's a decent volume candle. It's obviously not as good as the open, but just give it a minute. As long as she doesn't fall apart right here, and she kind of stays above this line here, over this next minute, then you just wait for it to get above the 200-day, and then you can probably trade anything that's tech. And I mean that not for the whole day, but you can have a good move. So I'm going to get going. Again, if you guys have any tickers that you want me to take a look at, any ideas, concepts, topics, whatever, let me know. Put in the chat or send me a direct message. And as always, good